Dan and Amy, top of the morning. Looks like we've got us a People's Convoy,
Yeah.
and it's left California. It's heading to D.C. and to check in with the convoy, how it's going, and how the convoy plans to present itself when it gets to the D.C. metro area. Pleased to be joined by John Spiropoulus, who's a freelance reporter. He was a reporter for ABC affiliate in D.C. for a decade, and he is embedded with the convoy.
Yeah.
John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How have the truck stops been so far?
It's been amazing. It's not just the truckers, but it's and that's grown by probably double. There's about 400 trucks or so, and probably as many RVs and cars.
Wow.
The convoy takes about 18 to 20 minutes to pass over at a specific location. But the surprising part about it is the overpass, what I call the overpass brigades. People congregating for hours waiting for the convoy to come by and to wave their flags and cheer them on. I was at one location yesterday. There were about 250 people on the bridge. They were waiting for 4 hours in the cold for their 15 minutes of waving and yelling and screaming and cheering on America. It was amazing.
And logistically, I mean, so you started in California, you're in Arizona right now, and what's the plan for today? And then do people know ahead of time where you're going to be so that they can come out and cheer?
Yeah, the route is posted on the People's Convoy website, and so that's and there's different. Each state has a kind of a group that organizes things. And so we started in California. First stop after a couple hundred miles was Kingman, Arizona. And then yesterday, another few hundred miles to Lupton, Arizona. And today we go off to, where are we going? To somewhere in Texas, Glen Rio, Texas, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's about an hour from Amarillo. So the truckers stay in their cabs. But I've got to find something other than a Motel 6 between here and Amarillo, and that's how we So I've got hotel rooms booked all the way to Maryland, where they're going to end up. They're not going into. There's different trucker groups out there, and some of them sound pretty militant. But this group says we're not going into D.C. proper. You can keep the National Guard at home. We're not coming there. They're going to stop in Maryland. They're not planning on doing anything like the Ottawa trip that the Canadian truckers did, where they tied up the Capitol. But this one, they're stated from the beginning. We're not going to Washington D.C. to tie up traffic and to stop the government. The one that's called the People's Convoy, they've made it pretty clear that we just want our message out that repeal any legislation that allows these emergency powers to continue on, the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, all these things. That's not laws. That's their point. They're not laws. These are, you can't suspend the Constitution because of a pandemic. That's the point. It's been the point all along.
Maybe
and, that's where we are.
Maybe play a little George Strait, Amarillo by morning, for the next leg of your journey too. Just as sort of goal setting. Hey,
Yeah.
So the People's Convoy, is this just organically our cars and RVs are joining, or are there like checkpoints at which you're stopping where then there are additional trucks and other vehicles that are joining?
The general route is known.
Okay.
They don't tell you where they're staying, particularly overnight. The truckers know because they're being directly communicated to. But like I don't know in advance exactly where they're staying. But people have given off their private property where they've got lots of places where they can roll in with 400 trucks or more. And the published route basically is every day somebody, there are going to be feeder routes in as they go across the country from 40 to I-70 going through southern Illinois in through Indiana, through Indianapolis. They spend a whole day in Indianapolis just resting. Then they continue on I-70 through Ohio into Pennsylvania, and then down into Maryland. And they're expecting feeder routes of trucks from the south and from the north to join them as they go through the Midwest.
And
now, the people's the video I saw from one of the People's Convoy organizers, Sifsik, I think was his name. indicated that he had gotten a permit for the mall, but you're saying you're going to stay outside of D.C. proper
Yes.
with this convoy.
Yeah, there's, like I said, there's lots of different trucker groups that are going to Washington.
All right. Yeah,
the
sure.
People's Convoy, their end point, their last stated point is Hagerstown, Maryland. They repeatedly said, we're not going into the Washington, D.C. area. We're not going into D.C. proper.
Right.
So they're not crossing the district line. And their plan is, now, that doesn't mean that somebody with a truck is going to drive into Washington.
Well, sure.
But
are you guys communicating? Are they communicating with the other trucker groups?
I believe they are.
Okay.
But they've made it a point repeatedly because nobody wants to see what happened in Ottawa happen.
In what way? Like what?
Violence.
Okay.
Violence. That's it. Yeah, and there's everybody is also wary enough of what happened on January 6th, where a handful of people and some, let's just say, government-inspired troublemakers tainted a whole group of people on January 6th, 2021. And so nobody wants any sort of opportunity to set up where they're going to taint everybody who's been involved with this freedom movement. You don't have to be called an insurrectionist to not to want to have your kids forced to get a vaccine. You don't have to be an insurrectionist to have to be either choose between your job and a vaccine. And so that's the point of this. When did we ever say you've got to have a vaccine passport to get into a restaurant? Like, that's the way it was. That's the way it's been in Chicago, right?
Oh, yeah.
In L.A., right? In New York, right? That's preposterous.
Yeah. And so hopefully they'll create some kind of change. And then think about all the first responders, nurses, police officers, firefighters who've lost their jobs or in Chicago are on unpaid status for not complying.
Right. All those people that were first responders, okay, who went out and did their jobs when the pandemic was a fearful thing, and now you're saying you can't work because you didn't get a vaccine. That's preposterous. I mean, really, it's not far away from show me your papers.
And when you get to
that is precisely why these overpasses are loaded with people who we can't go to Washington. One guy I interviewed yesterday. I got 4 kids. I don't want them vaccinated. I can't drop everything and go to Washington. But I'm out here supporting truckers, and the guy's waiting and his kids 4 hours in the cold, waiting for them to go by, and they can wave their flags and get a lesson in democracy.
And when you get to Hagerstown, Maryland, then what are you guys going to have a little party? What are you going to do?
Well, I haven't partied with them yet, and I'm not sure that they're just they've got a little something planned every night where they meet. But I suppose it's going to get too big to where they can go to any one place. So I'm not sure what's going to happen at the end of the trip. But we're interviewing people along the way and interviewing the truckers along the way, and it's quite exciting. And as one guy said, this is it's America on parade.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Americana.
Great, good for you. And what are the truckers saying? Are they doing this? Are they paying out of pocket for this?
I'm told that they're raising lots of money to because it's expensive to go across country. Oh, yeah. Because you think about it, they're giving up the guys who are going from California to the Washington D.C. area. That's 10 days. That's a lot of gas. That's a lot of food. But they've literally millions of dollars have been donated in food supplies and snacks and fuel cards and things like that that people have donated along the way. I saw and did a report on several truckloads of goods and things that were given to the truckers, all kinds of different snack foods, batteries, you name it, little portable stoves to use along the way.
And we got a question from a regular texter of ours, the Amish texter, whether or not if the tractor trailer driver who transports Nancy Pelosi's monthly distribution of chocolate bars and alcohol is part of the convoy that left California.
I don't.
You,
I don't.
you're not sure? Not sure
I,
about
I
that?
don't have that inside information.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I just
Fair
wish
enough.
you guys
So,
were coming by us, but the closest point is Indianapolis, I guess.
Yeah, the closest point. In fact, there are people along the way who have restaurants who are donating food or donating land for these guys to park their rigs at night. I'm doing this because, as I told you yesterday, Amy, I'm an old news reporter, and I'm basically retired, and I don't hear those sirens anymore like I did when I was a young reporter. But this told me this is a big story, and that's why I'm doing it. And we have a 4-man team that are covering this. There's 2 reporters, 2 camera crews, and we're documenting this coast to coast because we want to give an honest account. I don't, I'm a former mainstream media journalist, but I don't go by anybody's propaganda party points or anything of the political narratives that the media want to put out and perpetuate. Not happening here.
All
So I'm not I hate fake news, and I'm supported by people who give money to Give, Send, Go. And that's how I'm financing this trip, because no, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, nobody's paying me to do this. They're not out here.
They're not out.
Right, of
They're
course not.
not out here.
Of course not.
And so,
because that's where Americans live. Yeah.
Exactly, flyover country. And I'm from Chicago. I went to school in Indiana. I know Amy's an Iowa University of Iowa graduate. So, there's some Midwestern blood that's really important to this country. And I'm interviewing some of those people, along the way. One guy I interviewed out in an overpass in Arizona yesterday is from Lorain, Ohio. So they're coming from all over. And if you can help this group of mine that's cross country, I'm at GiveSendGo.com /Let's Roll America. GiveSendGo.com /Let's Roll America. And we're going coast to coast. And we're going to document what's really happening, how people feel. What are the truckers going through? Why? What's with their business? What's with the masks and the mandates, and how does it affect them? What? They're a small business. We know the government edicts that shut down businesses and schools hammered small business. Why is the dry cleaner closed, but Walmart can be open? Why is the little guy getting hammered? Hundreds of thousands of people, lost their businesses, restaurants. What did they do? I mean, the last time I was in Chicago, I couldn't go to a restaurant. I had to go because they were all closed down. I had to go out to the suburbs to get to my favorite Greek restaurant. Couldn't go into the city to eat. It's preposterous.
Hey, John, where can we see your work? Or is it going to be a documentary put together at the end of this?
I'm in the middle of editing today's story every day at www.letsrollamerica.us. Letsrollamerica.us, and I have 1 or 2 news stories every day. They're all there, all of them. And I'm editing in the car as we go, posting at night. Sometimes we can upload during the day in the car if we got enough wireless bandwidth out there. Some parts of America still are a little light on bandwidth.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that high-speed broadband issue. All right. Well, if you see BJ and or the Bear, please make sure you interview them and post those interviews because I'd like to see that.
The only Bears I've interviewed were the Chicago Bears back in the day, or the '85 Super Bowl.
No, the '85 Bears. Yeah, finally getting some
recognition.
credit. Yeah, finally getting some attention. John Spiropoulus, he's an independent journalist. The site letsrollamerica.us to follow his work as he moves with the convoy to just outside D.C., as he was describing, and also GiveSendGo.com, Let's Roll America, if you want to contribute to the cause. John, thanks for joining us. We'll look forward to your reporting.
Thanks. Go Cubs. Go Bears.
All right.
Cubs.
White Sox. Huh? All right, John. We were getting along, right, Dan, until he said that.
Yeah, sad.
And John joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
A while back, we at AmericanEagle.com were asked to build the e-commerce site of a major candy distributor. With the need for a website that could take into account everything from shipping times to local weather, because, candy melts, the task was not like taking candy from a baby. Fortunately, we live for a good digital challenge. and free bonbons. So we got to work on a slew of complex integrations, including a shipping algorithm that factored in variables like distance, speed, and location. The website even let the end customer personalize their candy for special events, like weddings or, major website launches. When all was said and done, our client enjoyed a significant increase in traffic, which we were also well prepared for, and an increase in average order size. A sweet result indeed. For complex e-commerce sites, digital marketing, UX, and more, talk to the experts at AmericanEagle.com. Don't just grow, soar.
Cash Call Mortgage is a DBA of Impact Mortgage Corp. NMLS ID 128231. Not all applicants will qualify. Equal housing lender. Licensed by California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. Residential Mortgage Lending Act license number 4131083. Not licensed in all states including New York. Call 855-657-9910 for licensing terms and restrictions. Or visit cashcallmortgage.com.
Are you being denied a home loan or refi because you're a 1099 employee, self-employed, or a real estate investor? It can be frustrating, but it doesn't have to be, thanks to Cash Call Mortgage. At Cash Call Mortgage, we'll take the time to understand you and your income flow. Using 1099 income, rental income, and bank statements, you could qualify for a home mortgage or refi at a lower rate. So if you're being turned down for a home loan or refi because you're self-employed, a 1099 earner, or a real estate investor, instead of hearing denied, you could be hearing approved. To see if you qualify, visit cashcallmortgage.com or call now 800-931-6651. That's 800-931-6651.